Let's learn some rich lessons from a biblical character called Zacchaeus, who Jesus interacted with. And Jesus stayed in his house, and he invited himself. When he met Zacchaeus, he said, "I want to stay in your house today." And you understand why. There in Luke 19, the text says, "Then Jesus entered and passed through Jericho." Zacchaeus was a rich man who lived in Jericho. Now behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. When the Bible gives us this detail about Zacchaeus, that he was not only a tax collector, but a chief tax collector, we must understand this detail, because this is a special detail in the backstory of Zacchaeus, who were the tax collectors. They were Jews who were hired by Rome, by the Roman Empire that controlled Israel in those days, to demand taxes from the Jewish people and pay Rome taxes. So these Jews, they had a pact with Rome that they were responsible to demand taxes from their own people. They would pay Rome what it demanded, and Rome would turn a blind eye to any excess. If these tax collectors had to pay 10 to Rome, but they charged 11, 15, Rome would turn a blind eye, because they thought this is their problems as long as mine is paid. Whatever they extort from others, this is their problem. So you can imagine how the tax collectors were seen by their own fellow citizens. The tax collectors, when you read the Gospels, they were placed in the same level as prostitutes, thieves, the most corrupted people, because they were considered this kind of people, a class of people who were despicable. No one seen them with good eyes, and Jesus often was criticized by mixing himself with tax collectors. Actually, one of the apostles was a tax collector, Matthew, also known as Levi, who Jesus called, and Matthew left his source of income that only a few had to follow Jesus. So Jesus was constantly criticized by being associated with tax collectors. But why? Did Jesus had a weak spot, per se, for tax collectors, as it was in the case of Zacchaeus? Because Jesus is always looking, searching for the despised ones, those who people consider lost cases, that there's no way out to them. Jesus is always looking for them, and here was no different. Zacchaeus was not only a tax collector, but a chief tax collector. We don't know how many tax collectors he had working for him, but he became very rich, but in a corrupt and illicit way. And the text goes on. And he sought to see who Jesus was, which means he heard of Jesus. Then he was curious. Who is this Jesus? He wanted to know him, but could not because of the crowd, for he was of short stature. Another detail about Zacchaeus, he was of short stature. Zacchaeus, we can understand, the Bible doesn't say, but by the details that the Bible gives us, we can understand that Zacchaeus was a man of short stature, so he was always trying to compensate, as usually happens. When someone has a deficiency, I'm not saying that short stature is a deficiency, but often because someone is short or a appearance like this or that, they suffer bullying, mockery, they are criticized by society. When they go out of the standard of society, so they are treated with mockery. They are targeted with jokes. So it's not hard to imagine that Zacchaeus might have thought, as my body doesn't favor me, then I will find another way to make life, to go on, to take advantage of people. And the way he found was collecting taxes, working for Rome. Then he compensated that situation with wealth and money. So Zacchaeus was a kind of person who thought like this. Who was Zacchaeus' God? Because the text later says that he was a child of Abraham, which means someone who knew the Jewish religion, but he didn't believe in God, because if he did, he wouldn't do what he was doing. So what was Zacchaeus' God? His God was his cleverness, his money. He thought, I need to make a way for me to stay ahead of people. So as many today who also serve the same God, the God of cleverness. And you might know people like this. Maybe you are like this. You are someone who say you believe in God. You are a child of Abraham per se, as Zacchaeus was. Someone who has some knowledge of a religion, of what is right and wrong, but deep down, because life treated you unfairly, you always had to fight, to put on effort to be someone in life. Your true religion is the following: I need to make a way. I need to be clever, because no one will help me. It is my cleverness that will help me. So because of this action of yours, your cleverness has become your God. And this is Zacchaeus' case. Think about it, because perhaps maybe you go to church, someone who say you believe in God, or maybe you don't, but you may say you believe in God, but in practice, your God is your cleverness. Your God is this kind of thought. I believe in me. I know better. And if I don't make a way, nobody will help me, not even God. Maybe this is your stance. This was Zacchaeus' situation. So because of the crowd, and he was of short stature, so he ran ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way. So we see that Zacchaeus had a curiosity to see Jesus. So despite all cleverness, deep down Zacchaeus had a desire for the right things. Deep down he thought, if there was a way to live correctly, I would, but I don't believe that there is one, so I have to make a way. But he wanted to see Jesus because he had this sincerity, this desire to do what is right. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said to him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must stay at your house. So he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. You can imagine the joy of Zacchaeus with that word. Why? Because Zacchaeus was excluded by the religious ones. The religious ones despised Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus would never be chosen by a religious one to visit him. A part of extorting him. Someone like him. Zacchaeus would never have the attention of a religious one because they rejected, despised the tax collectors. So when Jesus said, I will stay at your house, you can imagine Zacchaeus' joy. But when they saw it, they all complained, saying, he has gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner. That's it. When he said, I'll stay at your house, the crowd started murmuring, how come Jesus will stay in the house of someone like this? So society is always ready to throw stones. What if this man converts, changes? Nobody thinks like this, but everybody's quick to murmur and throw stones. In Jesus and Zacchaeus. Then Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, look, Lord, I give half of my goods to the poor, and if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold. And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost. Zacchaeus discovered that even before seeking for Jesus, Jesus was already seeking for him. It was Jesus who sought for him. Of course, Jesus waited for him to give him a sign, to climb that tree. But when Zacchaeus gave Jesus that sign, it was all that Jesus needed, was to seek and save the lost Zacchaeus. This is our God. And perhaps you are a Zacchaeus of today, a son, a daughter of Abraham who has departed from the faith, who knows the word of God, but because of circumstances of life, you went into this world trying cleverness as a way out, saying to yourself, nobody will help me, and you believed that not even God will help you. And there you are fallen. Maybe you have money, but you are poor in soul, in spirit. You are someone who has no joy in life, and you are tired of living like this. If you think like this, there's no more way out to me. I made mistakes, I'm a sinner. There's no way for me to come back to church. I'm a lost case. God will not look at me. He will not listen to me because of the things I've done, the things I do. God will not want me. Dear friend, you are mistaken. Because as Jesus said, that he came to seek and to save that which was lost, Jesus came precisely for you. It doesn't matter what others think. It doesn't matter the murmuring, others' judgment. What matters is that Jesus is seeking for you now. And because you are listening to this message, you are on top of the tree. You're giving a sign like Zacchaeus gave to Jesus that you want him. And if this is your sign, learn this. He's seeking for you. And all that you need to receive him in your house, in your life, in the house of your heart. Open your heart to God. Surrender yourself to him, and he will transform your life. He will make you a new creation, a man, a woman of God. Believe in this. Only look at God's mercy, nobody else, what others think or say about you. Only look at what God thinks about you. He came to seek you and save you. Do you believe? Do you accept? So do as Zacchaeus did. Let go of what has become your God and embrace the one who accepts you despite all you have done. If today's video helped you and you know someone that could benefit from it, share it with them, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you may do so now. See you later.